That one too.
I love how. So next up, we have Mr. Loren Norris, who's a speaker, podcaster, leader, and leader of leaders. Please let's give him a round of applause.
Well, believe it or not, I had all this hooked up before, but it got unhooked for the small business thing, and I'm glad it did. They start a sentence and somebody's like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, and they finish it, but what they're finishing it with is something entirely different than what you were talking about, you know what I mean? Or they say a word and then you think, yeah, that's exactly what I meant, and they're like, yeah, but that means, and you're like, no, that's not what that word means. Anybody ever experience that? How many of you have a friend like that or a relative like that? And so communication in that aspect is extremely important, whether it's an accent or it's a different meaning of words. Here's one for you. How many of you speak French? Anybody speak French? Bobby, used to? How many of you studied it in high school and couldn't remember a word right now to save your life? That's me with Spanish. Okay, so I don't speak French either, but I did figure this one out when I was in the Congo. They use a word all the time that you've probably heard called voila. Right? You've heard it? Yeah. Do you know what it means? There it is. There it is. What? Voila, there it is. What does that mean? So the first time I heard somebody actually explain that, I said, so it's like, whoop, there it is. And it seems to work because it fits right in. So I know we've got some experts in this room in the arena of podcasting. And I don't want for a second for you to think that my only success in life or my greatest accomplishment in life is podcasting, because it's not. In fact, by some people's standards, my podcast is not a success. Are you okay with me talking about it even though that's true? Because here's what I figured out. There are a whole lot of people who come out of high school and go, I'm going to play in the pros. I'm going straight to the NBA, right? How many of them claim that compared to how many do that? How many start a business thinking, I'll be profitable in the first 3 months versus how many do that? How many launch into a new world, a new idea, and they think, it's easy peasy. Look how many people are successful at it. Here's an example. How many people made millions of dollars on YouTube? Well, a few $100s on YouTube right out of the gate. And then it went flat. And nobody can explain why. How about the guys like, no, I'll get to him in a minute. One of the things that I really want to focus on when it comes to podcasting is that how we connect has changed. We know this. How many of you have Sirius or XM or some other kind of satellite in your car? Okay, how many of you actually listen to the radio in your car to local terrestrial radio stations? How many of you listen in your car to your phone via a podcast or a YouTube channel or something of that nature? Look around you. You know what that tells you, though, is that how we connect has changed. Now, it used to be that if you wanted to be known for what you do, you went to the local radio station and you bought some ads. And for 10 years, I was the marketing communications manager for all expansion markets for Verizon. And part of my job was buying and trading and negotiating for radio, television, billboard, out of home, even event marketing. At one point, we had over $250,000 worth of advertising in the Erie, Pennsylvania market. You could almost buy the city of Erie for $250,000. And I spent about 10 grand in cash to do it, because the negotiations of ads were there. And at the time, that was one of the strongest cum reaches you could possibly get on all 7 formatted radio stations, and all I did was trade outside back covers of the phone book for it. But if I tried to do the same thing today, that would be 10 years worth of radio advertising, because the value of radio advertising has gone down and the impact of it has gone down even further. That becomes a challenge in the way we connect. Nobody sits around with their transistor radio anymore unless they're in the middle of a storm and they're listening to NOAA weather radio. Otherwise, they connect like this. They connect like this with their laptops and their cell phones and their other digital devices. And because we know that that's true, it opens a door for us to communicate, which has 2 problems. A positive side is it's a low barrier to entry. You don't have to spend $60,000 on a radio ad campaign anymore. You know what the negative side of a low barrier to entry is? Anybody can do it, even if they're morons. And many of them do. And so the challenge from both a marketing and a communication standpoint is any idiot can pick up their cell phone and start a podcast. literally. And many of them who start podcasts, they are idiots. They're unqualified in their field. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And because of that, the ability and the preponderance of information that's out there is risky. So why would I tell you that I still think you should do it? This means that we have to require our own intentionality at the highest level. If we're going to connect and maintain integrous relationships with our potential customers, if we don't go into it with that focus, then we're not going to remain relevant in their life. We're going to be just another someone else. Now, there's a really fine balance in being relevant and being authentic. And when I say fine balance, I mean it's really easy to be, well, yesterday, controversy got a hold of King James. Who knows who King James is? Raise your hand if you know who I'm talking about. So LeBron James got caught up in this whole melee of what's going on between Hong Kong and China and endorsements and sponsorships and the manufacture of shoes. I didn't know he was an expert in international politics or commerce. I knew he was really good with a 3 and a jump, but I mean, who knew, right? But unfortunately, because there is no barrier to entry, anybody can start a firestorm. Anybody can start an argument. Anybody can jump out there and scream into a microphone and make everybody go. And when they do, eyeballs come and ears come. And when eyeballs and ears come, what follows? Money, sponsorship. And people will sponsor you. You ready for this? To make an absolute fool of yourself and destroy your own reputation and destroy your own brand, because the amount of people watching you make a fool of yourself is going to make them money. That makes you a prostitute. Illegal immigrant who shot transgender woman 6 times had been previously deported. What part of pandering to piss people off does that headline pertain to? All of the above. And it really has no other value. In fact, if you read the article, it has nothing to do with that headline. But the headline sells, right? Controversy gathers eyeballs. Controversy will get you sponsors. Controversy will get people to show up to your podcast. And if you want 10,000 downloads, piss somebody off. It's a win for numbers. It's good for sponsorship, so to speak. It's really bad for your brand. I made up this word. Patty, I think you'll agree with me. Susan, I think you will too. Soapboxing. I made it up, but here's what happens. Somebody gets a burr in their saddle and they jump up on the platform and they're like, listen here, y'all, I got something to say about this issue. And everybody's going, yeah, we agree with you. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're so upset about. Yeah, taxes are too high. And, right? And so it's really easy to get up there and you know these people. They come to every meeting. They're usually in a network meeting or a Toastmasters meeting and they don't know what 5 seconds is or even 30 seconds or even 5 minutes. They just keep talking because they have to say something even if they get nothing to say. I have the microphone, therefore I will talk. You don't have to be relevant. You don't have to make any sense. Please don't tell me something that's worthy of my time. Just keep talking. But the podcast makes that possible. Anybody know who this guy is? So this guy has more than 10 million YouTube subscribers. He's generating somewhere around $11 million a year in YouTube sponsorships for his podcast and advertising through YouTube. Until he pissed off the media. And YouTube went, I'm sorry, we miscalculated. You have 11 followers, not 11 million. Who controls the algorithm? Who controls your ad revenue? And so all you've got to do is scream loud enough to piss off the right people, and all of a sudden you got sponsors. Scream loud enough to piss off the wrong people, and you got crickets. Now the question is, have you actually accomplished what you set out to do or not? I don't know if you like her or don't like her, or agree with her or don't agree with her. It's not really relevant. What I'm telling you is this headline causes eyeballs. Within the world of social media, that's all it takes. Hey, look over here. I'm going to set somebody on fire. Y'all watch. How many of you remember that show from HBO or from MTV called Jackass? I actually DJ'd a wedding for that crew. Oh my goodness. It was an interesting crowd. Controversy sells. It might make you money. It's not necessarily going to be good for your business. So what do you need to get started? So I actually invited an expert because you can see my whole setup. This is it. This is the whole thing right here. This is my podcast. The whole thing. In fact, this little guy up here, this is a new addition. It gives me a lapel mic so I don't have to have a string between me and my microphone. Now, it does sometimes have problems, too many cell phones in the room to get interference, et cetera, but this is a high-end one. That little box on top of there connected to the one on my hip, those little things run about $1,500 a set. It took me a long time to work that one off because I got it from another guy and I worked for it instead of paying for it. Everybody's got an iPhone or a phone of some sort, right? Everybody's got an iPad or a tablet of some sort. The little tripod mount is called a Mela mount. They're about $60. So everything I do every morning at 6:30, that's it. You're looking at it. That's my whole podcast equipment. But Bill Brock is an expert from White Rock Films, and Bill, the guy in the back, sells the table mounts with the silencers, the whole 9 yards. So if you want to spend anywhere from $300,000 to $30,000, Michael Hyatt spent $30,000 to build his home studio for his podcast, then you can do that. And you can go as simply as this, or as elaborately as this, or this, and spend, like I said, anywhere from $30,000 to $30,000. Depending on what you want to do, whether it's video or audio, Bill can set you up. He can hook you up with it. He's got all the stuff. This is my actual studio. When we film in the studio, this is the mayor of Cedar Hill in our home studio. And just an idea of some of the equipment that we use when we do television recording in our home. Like I said, it could be anywhere from $30 to $30,000, but you can easily do it for under $3,000. So why is podcasting still a powerful platform if only the major players can make it and get past the hurdles and get into the world of actually making money? And then, even then, you can get all of the attention, get all the sponsorships, and lose your shirt by pissing off YouTube. And here's why. Regardless of the industry, you can be recognized as a go-to person. I don't care if you're an attorney or a chiropractor, a roofer or a remodeler, a painter, or the person who's going to take out the garbage. If you're an expert in what you do and you can give people free tips, you can give people some ideas that will lead you to business later, podcasting is good. Anybody recognize the other guy on the stage with me? That's the first chance I had to share the stage with him. These are just some of the other people. This guy's a senator, spoke at Zig Ziglar. These are among the interviews that I've done, a little over 100 interviews over the course of the time that we've had Leading Leaders podcast. It's led to speaking for the South American Media Association for Christians in Miami, radio interviews, television interviews, the Christian Media Association's national conference, face-to-face interviews with Laurel Langmeyer, James Malinchak, Les Brown, John Maxwell. I'm actually going to Laurel Langmeyer's office next month in Reno, Nevada to do a 1-hour interview each with all of the people on her team. It gives you access. Having a podcast of your own gives you access. Expertise and access are the primary reasons to do a podcast. It may not make you $1 million, but it's also created a trifecta for me. Meaning my podcast doesn't have thousands of dollars of sponsorships. I don't have tens of thousands of dollars of views. But in the same way that you hear me speaking right now, every day people are able to go onto my Facebook page, my Tell It Like It Is Facebook page, or my motivational speaking page, or my website, and see me in action in front of the camera. Do I communicate articulately? Do I have ideas that people want to know about? And it's like creating my own TED Talk every single day. So these are the opportunities that have been afforded me. I've spoken in the Congo. I've trained parliament leaders. I've been around the world, literally, Brazil, Cuba. This is the team that I trained in the Congo. This is in Cuba. These are some of the other places that I've been invited to be on the stage as a result of having a podcast. Impact, influence, eventually income. That is the trifecta of podcasting. So if you're not doing a podcast or you've thought about it but you're not sure if you should, I'd be glad to sit down and challenge you on a vision statement and how it might be beneficial to you. But Susan Hamilton and Patty Farmer both are experts in teaching you how to monetize from the form of marketing your platform through your podcast. I would encourage you to spend some time with each of them in a one-on-one. And if you don't know what equipment you need to get started, see Bill. He's the expert in that. I thank you for your time. If there's anything I can do in the way of leadership or communication, I'm glad to help, and I'm glad to take any questions.
We've got time for about maybe 2, maybe 3 questions.
Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
So if you start a podcast, what would you first promote it on? YouTube? Or?
Well, a lot of that depends, A, on your budget, and B, on your level of comfort. So if you feel like the content that you're going to deliver and your comfortability delivering it is up to snuff, then jump right out there. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on Anchor FM. Anchor FM allows you to upload straight from your phone. You can actually download the app, anchor.fm, on your phone, record straight to your phone, and upload it, and Anchor will syndicate it for you for free.
You can also use Podbean.
You can use Podbean, or you can talk to Susan, because Susan offers coaching in the media aspect of that and to get it loaded for you on the OBBM network. And they'll actually walk you through the process, set up a studio, bring you in, let you do the interview. You don't have to buy a stitch of equipment. Just show up, Bill will set it up and record it for you. And they'll walk you through the plan of your content. Yes?
Do you do it every single day, or how often do you do?
I started in May of 2015, and Monday through Friday at 6:30 a.m. I am live on Facebook. And then by 8 a.m. that's on my website and syndicated on 7 other sites as well. It does show up as an audio in Apple, Google Market, Spotify, Stitcher, and Anchor. Yes?
You answered one of the questions that I had in my mind for a long time. It's like on Facebook, when people are creating some sort of a controversy, there's a lot of following for them. But when they post about their business, there's hardly any likes for their business. So that's what's my thing was like, what is it for like, so Facebook likes engagement, but it's good for Facebook business because it makes a lot of money with that engagement. But what is it for you? And that answers my question was, like, even if I have 10,000 likes, how many likes can I take into the bank?
Well, so
If it's a controversial issue.
here's the truth about that. Everybody knows sex sells and controversy is sexy. Okay, one step further than that, though, like you said, I don't need 10,000 followers if none of them are writing me a check. Thank you for being friends. Thank you for being fans. But I want that one guy who shows up in a room like this. This is literally how I ended up in the Congo. I taught for 3 consecutive weeks at a little bitty business meeting. There were like 9 people. One guy sat in the back of the room 3 weeks in a row. The 4th week, he calls me, says, hey, meet me at Starbucks. That was in 2015. I've been to the Congo with him 3 times now to train parliament leaders. And just last night, got a late night back channel request from the president of the Congo to help him with some public relations stuff. So these are opportunities that happen because you're out there doing the thing. If 3 people follow me and say, hey, I want to do business with you or become coaching clients because of the podcast, or because they hear me here and they're like, well, he seems to be a smart guy, but was that just one good speech? Go to the website. There are thousands. I've been doing it Monday through Friday every day. There's over 1,000 of those. So glad to be there. I love the way John Maxwell says it. It is the reason I named my podcast what it is. John Maxwell says if I die having led 50,000 followers, when I die, that's 50,000 people looking for somebody else to lead them. If I die having led 1,000 leaders who lead 1,000 leaders who lead 1,000 leaders, I leave a legacy.